So you slept 8 straight hours. You drank your coffee. Um, why does looking at a basic spreadsheet make you feel physically exhausted? Welcome to this deep dive where today's mission is, well, figuring out why you might be completely drained to focus, even when you theoretically shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a super common paradox. I mean, your muscles aren't tired, but neurologically, you are just completely depleted. And the culprit is really the digital environment we interact with every single day.
Right, because we're dealing with platforms that are literally engineered to capture just like 30 more seconds of your attention.
Exactly, because those extra seconds equal billions in revenue for them.
Okay, so let's unpack this. There's a great analogy that explains the underlying neuroscience perfectly.
Uh,
Imagine monkeys in a wild forest.
right, they have to climb and forage for their food.
Exactly, they burn real energy to get a banana. But if you put those same monkeys next to a zoo,
Yeah.
where humans just hand them an infinite buffet of effortless, sugary treats, they get lazy. When we scroll endlessly, our brains are basically the zoo monkeys. We're getting these massive dopamine hits for zero effort.
That is spot on. What's fascinating here is what happens when the zoo monkey has to go back to the wild. Or, when you finally try to put the phone down to do actual work.
It's rough.
Oh, it really is. Because when the effortless scrolling stops, your dopamine levels don't just return to normal, they actually plummet well below your baseline.
Wait, really? Why does it crash like that? Shouldn't the dopamine just fade away back to normal once you stop?
Well, not exactly. Since your brain just got this unnatural flood of dopamine, your receptors actually downregulate. They sort of shut their doors to protect themselves from the overload.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when the stimulus stops, you don't just lose the high. You're left with fewer active receptors to process normal, everyday motivation. This creates a severe restlessness that people often mistakenly self-diagnose as ADHD.
Ah, assuming their inability to focus is some permanent disorder.
Precisely, when really their dopamine system is just exhausted. It actually takes about 30 to 90 minutes entirely away from a screen for those receptors to recalibrate.
Okay, but let's be realistic here.
Mm.
30 to 90 minutes away from a screen. Or even limiting social media to 45 minutes a day. That feels impossible when my job requires me to be on Slack and LinkedIn constantly. I mean, how do we possibly win against our own biology and these billion-dollar algorithms? Should we just throw our phones in the ocean?
I mean, as tempting as that sounds, no. You shouldn't fight the system. You really just have to control it.
Right, because social media is still incredibly valuable for networking and learning.
Exactly. But it needs strict boundaries.
Right.
Say around 45 to 60 minutes a day for the mindless consumption part. And you have to actively train the algorithm by ruthlessly skipping useless content and engaging only with what brings actual value.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. When comparing endless scrolling to a sugar binge, scrolling is actually harder to break away
Oh,
from.
absolutely.
Because if I eat a mountain of candy, my body has a built-in defense mechanism. I get a stomach ache and physically have to stop. But the phone has no friction. There's no natural stopping point, right? No biological gag reflex for infinite scrolling.
Precisely. It creates this endless loop. And because there's no natural starting point, you have to build artificial friction into your routine. The first tactical defense is the 90-second pause.
How does that work?
Well, when you feel that sudden, urgent impulse to check a message or an app, you just wait exactly 90 seconds, and usually the acute urge will pass.
Right. You're basically throwing your car in neutral and letting the engine idle, just letting the system cool down.
Exactly. That's a great way to look at it. The second tool is physical distance. You batch your phone tasks, like reading texts or posting, into one session.
And then what?
Then you physically leave the phone in another room with all non-call notifications completely muted.
Make it physically difficult for the zoo monkey to get the treat. I love that. But wait, during that time without the phone, are we supposed to just sit there doing nothing?
Honestly, yes. Embrace the boredom. I mean, you can replace scrolling with productive habits like reading or learning a language.
Sure.
But honestly, just pacing around a room empty-handed is highly productive. That quiet, unstimulating boredom is actually when your brain generates its most lucrative, life-changing ideas.
That is wild to think about. Yeah. So to wrap up our deep dive, I'll leave you with this to mull over today. If the greatest, most transformative ideas in life are born out of the very boredom we spend hours desperately trying to scroll away, what personal brilliance are you accidentally swiping past today?